All right, I'll
Maybe
just see
two
you later.
more.
All right.
All right. What I'm going to tell you about today is a PBL, which is a problem-based learning. And it's nothing new. It's been around for a while. But they put a new twist on it. They're making sure that teachers go back and look at the standards first before they craft the lesson. Now, PBL is not something you do in 1 or 2 days. It's a 2-week, 4-week, maybe a semester-long project that a lot of times you cross-discipline. You might get with the math department, you might get with the history department, and there's all kinds of things I could do with art and go into other disciplines. But for this 2 weeks, I just chose this and went with it. Now, PBL just is something that it challenges the students to solve real-life problems. You know, when they get out of school, how many real-life problems were you able to solve? You know, like your checkbooks and all that kind of thing. So what we're trying to do is make education more relevant to them, get them engaged in the activities that are going to apply now and later when they get out. And so you do that by questioning. You want overarching questions that get them engaged and get them asking, get them into the research, trying to figure out what to do, and then you throw in collaboration. You want them to work together as a team because when they get out, they're going to have to work in teams in their workplace, and they're going to have to figure out how to get along. And then the understanding comes by with the final presentation. And that's kind of where we're at in this class and what I'm trying to do with my PBL. Now, let me get this screen off, and AirServe just kicked out.
Mine did that right during process.
Probably because my iPad do some creative editing on that video. There we go. Okay. Well, as you can tell, this is a PDF that I'm having a runoff of. I did a Prezi, and lo and behold, today, Prezi went down worldwide. And then, because it's based in Hungary, our filters won't let it come through. So, luckily, I was on it just long enough to download the PDF. So, as far as technology is concerned, you've got to kind of have to make a backup plan because it will fail you at times, and you're going to have to do something else. The name of my PBL, they want you to give it a nice name. That way you can get the kids hooked. The Shard of Evidence, just kind of an elusive term. We're talking about traditional Greek pottery. And when you design your PBL, what you want to do is you want to think about the end. Not where you're going to go, not what kind of things you're going to, processes you're going to use, but what do you want the kids to learn? Where are you going to be when you're ended? And how are you going to assess that? How are you going to know that they understand it? So knowing that, I always have done pottery, but with the PBL, I had to go back and I had to think, all right, what are the standards? Well, before the standards, you have to understand who you're going to be teaching it to. And in this case, you know, for those who are not in our school, we are a homogenous group here pretty much. We've got a few minorities, but for the most part, our kids represent middle-class families. It's mostly 9th graders. I have a sprinkling of upperclassmen, and that's who I'm gearing this whole thing toward. First of all, I had to, when I started thinking about the project, I obviously wanted to make a Greek urn. But then to get it more involved, I started looking at my standards. I always hit 1 or 2 anyway. Whenever I do a project, you can kind of really go over that and browse the surface on 1.3. But as I got into it and started seeing all the things I could do with the technology and with the project, it got deeper and deeper and deeper into the standards. And I went all the way down to 5, which in your own disciplines, you understand that 5 is where they get to assess their work. They get to talk about it, critique it, how does it relate to what they did. And then with it being historical, I got into the cultural context. And to get all these standards in, here's what I want to do. I want them to work together collaboratively, and they're going to decorate that urn to reflect that Greek history, and then they're going to identify those periods of Greek pottery. So I've got that going on. Before it ever starts, they're going to discuss, after they watch a video, they're going to discuss the images that they find on the Greek art. They're going to relate that to the history of Greece and how they recorded their history. That's basically what we know of the Greeks. And then after that, we're going to talk about the production. We're going to do a technique called sgraffito, which is basically the black on red pottery that you find in Greece. We're going to use a black slip and cut through it. That's just a technique that they did. And then, obviously, I'm going to have them reflect on what they did in the self-assessments in a rubric. Now, that all comes ahead of time, so they know what to expect, know what they're going to do, and then it comes at the end. Now, the other part of this whole PBL thing is the NETS, the National Education Technology Standards. For students, I'm getting several of those. Now, you can go online and you find these, and there are various ones, and these are the ones that apply to me this time. We're going to be creating an original works using models and simulations. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. They're going to use collaboration. They want you to do that with the technology. How to locate things, how to find things on the internet, collect and analyze data. They're going to look at the different types and periods of Greek pottery, and then to collaborate a little more, the teams are going to actually take pictures of the urns and solve that issue there. So we're going to use the Web 2.0 tools. Obviously online, everything can be used online. Now with our iPads, we've got all these apps, and so the apps will help us facilitate all that. It's all basically all done in the clouds. There'll be some things that'll be on their actual iPads, but most of it will be up in the cloud. They're going to use Schoology, which is a classroom management system that I've been using this year. It has everything in it. It has discussion pages, it has a web page for them to use, it has assignment location, they can upload their stuff to that. And the main thing is that discussion page, which is really pretty cool. They're going to be on the internet, they're going to have to do research. They're going to use digital cameras to take pictures of their pottery when they're done and upload those images. And then of course I send them a digital rubric, which at the end of the project they fill out, and then they return back for grading. Well, here's the hook. When I start this thing, I'm going to introduce this piece of pottery right here with no explanations, nothing to it. They're just going to look at the pottery. They're going to get the question, the overarching question, what culture does this piece of pottery belong to, and why is that significant? And so I would imagine that right off the bat, some of them are just going to grab, they can grab my iPod that has a camera in it, since there's no, and just take a picture of it and do a Google search with the image. And it'll probably come up pretty close to Greek, if not in the Mediterranean area. But anyway, the whole point is to get them discussing this in the group and to figure out where it came from. Resources that I'm going to use on this is, let's start with a flip class. If you're not familiar with flip, it just means you don't watch the video in class, you watch the video outside of class. So after they've gotten the question, they go home, they watch this little 10-minute video, and he goes over the whole 9 yards about how to determine what it was used for, all the Greek periods, a lot of information right there that we will discuss next time. I've got handouts, I've got a presentation that I'll give to them about the different images that you'll find on the different shapes of pots and what they're used for. I adapted this lesson. This is a great resource for me. This is incredible art called Princeton Online. This guy started it, and it is full of art resources. And I just adapted that lesson from one that was already there. A lot of YouTube videos on how to make coil pottery, how to pull the handles to attach them. Great stuff that they'll once again watch outside of class. We'll talk about it in class and then do it. Here's something that might be new to you. Symbaloo is a great place. This is how we're going to start research. When I've got an account with these guys, and you can see each one of these bubbles represents a link to that page. So I can actually have one little section there just for their class. Every link that I need them to go to get them started on research. Maybe it's a web page about the videos, or maybe it's that way they don't have to keep typing in ULRs and getting them wrong to find where I want them to go. They're right there. It's all taken care of, and Symbaloo is a great place to go for that. TimeToast is the other Web 2.0 tool we're going to use. That's where they can go in. And this one I actually found at TimeToast. It's already a timeline. And when you hover over the little bubbles, those are actually historical periods you can click on and find more information about. So they'll actually just go into TimeToast and build their timeline of the Greek pottery. So they'll start with the very first period and work through each period. They'll look like 4 or 5 of those. And then Schoology, as you can see there, it's almost like Facebook. It has a lot of characteristics of Facebook, and kids love to use it. Well, not love, that might be a little strong. They like it better than some other things. So to get there, here's what I'm going to do real quick. I'm going to run through this. Day one's the overarching question. You've got the shard. What is it? Go find out. I'm going to break them into teams based on their learning styles. Going to be a good mix in each class, each group then, and then they go out and do that. So after they determine the culture, they get the links, the links that I have, they're going to be able to build that timeline, and that'll do as a group. Then Number 2, we come in and we discuss the video we watched the night before. Day 2, we're going to get them directed on the discussion about the historical aspect of the images that they found on the pot, the mythological storytelling, and get that all linked in. And then I can assess that. After day 2, it'll be on Schoology. There'll be a little quiz on pottery shapes. So they can go out on Schoology, take a little quiz, and it goes right in my grade book, and it's kind of a formative assessment as we go to keep them on track, keep them in mind of what they're doing. Day 3, we use a sketchboard to get them started on their design. They're going to take it, digitize that, and put that up in Schoology so that I can see that they're ready to go. Clay production starts. We talk about the shape, all the ins and outs, where to put it, keep it dry, keep it wet, don't let it dry out, all the logistics of making that. Same thing with day 5 through 9, we go into production, and then day 10 we wrap it up. Now, I know that clay will still be wet, but with this graffiti on it, with the black on the red, you'll be able to see their images, and we'll be able to do our assessments and our rubrics with, from there without having to go into and wait for it to dry, because it'll take 2 weeks or so for it to dry, go through the kiln, and be finally finished. In that meantime, then, they will also, the teams will come back together to document each one, create a little critique about it, and then eventually the end result would be to have a display somewhere, which is what I want to do. I want to culminate with a show. If they've done all this work, we've got all this gear, all the information and data together, I want them to go out to the community, like to the college or somewhere, or a gallery, and set up a real show, have that experience of dealing with someone to help, over at the college. All right, technology, obviously, we're going to use our iPads, we're going to use those Web 2.0 tools, all those websites with TimeToast and Symbaloo and those kind of things, digital cameras, and of course, the Schoology. What I'm going to look at is this. I'm going to look at, to assess them, we're going to use formative and summative. The formative will be as we go along in the timeline, in groups, doing a little collaborative work. They've got the individual tests on the pottery shapes. I'm going to be looking at the designs of their pots on the scratch board that they create. That'll be up on Schoology. That'll be kind of midway or at the beginning of it. I want to ask them to do a journal. I'm going to keep a web page on Schoology that they'll take pictures of their work in progress, everything that they've done in their groups, and that kind of helps me to make sure that they're doing their part in their groups too. The earn, obviously, I'm going to have a rubric that I'll send to them ahead of time so they see that, they know where they're supposed to be going. As they work, they can see if they're keeping up with where they're supposed to be. And then the teams will document each earn and record the critique later on. That's basically it. It's supposed to be 2 weeks, and I'm going to go ahead and confess right now, I don't think it'll happen 2 weeks. That's what I'm supposed to keep it inside of. That's moving pretty quick for clay work, 5 days. But it can be done, and I think if you get them on board, if you can keep them on task, that'll work. Do you have any questions about any of all? That's a lot of stuff to digest, I know, but anywhere along the way, anybody had a question about something?
So the kids will actually, it won't be they'll just take a pot and do the Greek design on it. They're actually going to make a pot.
They're going to
earn.
Yes.
It's going to start from a lump.
They're going to
go through the whole process. Or?
Yeah, in the process there, I could probably just skip that. On the procedures, we always make a pot anyway.
Right.
But now I'm trying to tie it back in with something a little bit more legitimate. They actually, when we explain and get started, we have the clay extruder that they'll make. It makes the coils for us. So it's a matter of just building. That's why it can go a little faster. They'll start with the coils. They'll build the coils up to a shape that they've cut out of a cardboard template. They'll take a cardboard and cut a template of what they drew out on scratch board. And it'll be actual size. So as they build, they just build to their template. But then after it gets a little harder, after they get it just about built, it'll be stiff enough that they'll put the black slip on it and then cut through the design to expose the red clay underneath.
Will they do all this here or some outside?
Not on the building. All the production will be in class. Now, a lot of the research might have to go out, or they might have to get with a team at some point on the documentation. They may have to spend a little time outside class.
How many do you have in a group? You might know.
No, I have small classes, so if I even use my biggest class, it would be